Okay, so that you can be able to go back to the lecture when you are also studying. Okay, so the question was that why are we worried about human remains? What's the issue about human remains as the environmental health practitioners?
Just try, sir.
Okay. So the human remains, if they are not attended to, they can bring about diseases to the community. Like cholera is one of the most known disease, which is brought by not managing the remains properly.
Basoba bakatongo, you can teach. Acha man, urife bueno.
Aro family.
Raeli. Bueno.
Tulifera karaka. Basa bali kuisama bando ya PC.
PC.
Ndio sama bando echipondo uko sana ukukosa.
Jambe covid ya minister nashani mabandale.
Iwe George.
Ba minister tabo mfa badazoona. Bare mposha ba minister. Ba vere.
When I grow up, I want to become like him.
Nozian. Where is
George very weak.
What do I
In the source of my
wala very weak.
Oh yeah.
Umone che pachunguro.
Bora mtenge mwana.
Bana Ziani kulewa.
Ampa Noziani.
Bora we. Bora kulitao kali. Basana
Bora
vai.
chupa.
Action guys.
Acha nichipondera.
Alaka, au kama mbita munemoneka.
Noziani urefa ikatuba minister bajayo.
Pesa.
George nabeshi babwino. George Murondoro ero wa minister.
Nabesa bagaye.
Inspiration ya Kanani.
Guys, but mwenye mama ikai jambo panga songo. Pasije chance wasa manzo akasikamba.
Oh.
Ba minister bakali.
Hello. Yes, Mr. Kabasa. Oh, bajamure. 11. Ngamwachika kofe na ngupate bapaso ndo mu class. Ndo mu class ya.
Uko kweli hapa ni pesa.
No, guys.
Let's mute ourselves.
Apokia.
Tabaraisa basa.
Ada sawa bale napita kwa.
Oh, shireba mona. Ishike nipange chongo. Others playing music.
I'm sorry for that breaking in transmission.
Bongsina la senda saufa ya kulwanja. Bongsina la senda fifia kulwanja ala kai.
That person playing music, please switch off.
Nana ngo 3% ni shin.
Hello. Who is playing music? Please switch off your thingy.
Okay, yeah. Please let us be orderly. I'm sorry for the break in transmission. It is our internet. Are you able to get me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
People are making noise.
Someone please.
Okay. Please, one is making some. Please, one who's playing some music, please.
So that you will be okay. Hey, Victoria, stop playing your music. There's option for mute and then making it.
Victoria Chishimie.
Okay.
Okay, let me switch off.
Okay, please. I'm not sure the one who is making noise.
It's Victoria.
Okay.
Sir.
Yeah. It's Victoria. Okay. I can mute her. Okay. Okay. So the objectives for today is that we just have to introduce you to the issue of human remains management. So we're going to state the objectives of human remains management. Then you also talk about the preservation of human remains. I think these are the two topics these are the two issues for today. As we acclimatize to this new environment, I hope next week when we meet will be more clear and so forth. Okay, so we'll discuss the first two objectives. The objective of human remains management and also preservation of human remains. But when we meet next week, then you will continue with 3, 4, and so forth. I hope you're able to see the slides.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So you have this. I think we'll divide this lesson into 3 parts. So we'll have another lesson next week, then the last one the other week. Then the fourth week, we'll just do some revision in case there's need for revision. It means that will be the end of solid waste management. It means by that time you should be able to write exams. Okay. So human remains management is a practice and the process of dealing with the remains of the deceased human beings. The human remains presents both a public health and environmental pollution risks. That's our interest as the environmental practitioners. We are worried about the public health hazards arising from human remains, as well as the issue of pollution of the environment, which again can be deleterious to human beings. Okay, so for example, now we are under this COVID outbreak. So the bodies from people who have died from COVID or coronavirus, they have to be disposed of by environmental practitioners. So there's a protocol that we follow in order to protect people from getting the infections or this infection of coronavirus from these human bodies. Therefore, we control the disposal of these human remains. The example I've given is for the bodies of people who have died from an infectious disease. Okay, they were worried about the disease spreading to the general public, so therefore need to control the disposal of human remains. But nowadays, we even go beyond just dealing with infectious bodies. We are also control the disposal of all human remains for the sake of protecting public health and also the environment. Okay, so we know that some infectious agents might be transmitted when persons are in contact with blood, body fluids, tissues of dead bodies, or person with infectious diseases. Therefore, it is important that dead bodies should be handled in such a way that the workers' exposure or the public exposure to blood, body fluid, and tissues is reduced. Okay, so whether the body has died from an infectious disease or not, we follow what we call the precautionary principle. I think we talked about this in solid waste management. We assume that every dead body is infectious. That's why we have to control the disposal of human remains, whether died from infectious diseases or not. Okay, so this is the function of public health authorities. Okay, so in terms of the objectives, they are in twofold. There are public health objectives. There are also environmental protection objectives. That's why ourselves as environmental practitioners, it's environmental health, environment, and also human health put together. We call it as environmental health. So we want to protect both the public health and we also want to protect the environment. For example, the spread of infectious diseases, okay, like COVID now, or maybe cholera, anthrax, and the other hard infectious diseases that can be spread through human bodies. Okay, then we also want to avoid some offensive smells. Then the other objective is to do with the issue of protecting the environment. So we want to avoid underground water pollution. We also want to avoid land or soil pollution, and just to avoid unsanitary conditions. So if dead bodies are disposed of anyhow, it lead to a lot of unsanitary conditions. Can you imagine you're walking around the bush, then you find a dead body just disposed of anyhow? To be traumatizing to you to see a dead body just disposed of like that. That's why we need to have designated places where these bodies are disposed of. Okay? And those designated places, they ensure that public health and the environment is protected. So we'll be talking about, we need to ensure that the underground water is at a certain distance from the graveyard, or sources of underground water is a certain distance from the graveyard and so forth. And that's supposed to be a secluded place where no one can go in and out at will. So it's just a place designated for disposal of human remains. So these are some of the objectives why we are talking about human remains management here, to protect public health as well as protect the environment. Okay, so diseases that you are worried about here, there are infectious that are transmitted during handling and disposal of human remains, include what you are seeing there: cholera, anthrax, plague, viral hemorrhagic fevers, for example, Ebola, severe acute respiratory syndrome, SARS, the coronavirus, COVID-19, hepatitis C. So these diseases, they're highly infectious that they can be spread through dead bodies. So for this, it's a must. We have to handle the bodies ourselves as environmental health practitioners. Okay, so if someone dies from cholera, it's us who manages, who okay, so for the bodies that have died from this, the disease that we are seeing there, we have to control them. We have to ensure that we meet all the protocols that are involved in their disposal. Therefore, they need to be supervised by environmental practitioners. I'm not saying it's us to carry the shovels, go and dig. No, us, we just supervise the burial of these dead bodies. And it's us who is responsible if anything happens. Therefore, you need to be there throughout the process. But you have people to assist you. Okay, so for example, for COVID, if you have someone that's died at home, then you go there with people to assist to go and carry the body. You carry the necessary things that are required. Then the body transported to the graveyard. You put in a body bag and so forth. We'll discuss this towards the end in terms of these infectious diseases. Okay, but you need to be there. The emphasis here is that an environmental practitioner need to be there throughout the process. By the time the body is being picked, it's transported, up the time it is being buried, and ensure that it's buried safely so it doesn't contaminate the environment or they don't put the public health at risk. So for these diseases, we normally supervise the burials from the time the body is picked up the time the transportation, up the time the body is buried. But for other dead bodies who have died from other diseases, not necessarily high infectious diseases, we just ensure that everything is done in a proper way by licensing or giving permission to these graveyards or cemeteries to operate. So before they operate, they do come to our offices to come and get for permission for them to be using a site as a burial site. And when you go there, we inspect that it meets all the conditions as it is stipulated in the law, so that burials that are conducted at those cemeteries, they are not putting the public health or the environment at risk. So in that case, for the other bodies, we don't critically supervise the burials per se, but we just ensure that where they are buried, the burial sites, they are meeting the public health standards. Okay, and also if they want to transport a dead body from one town to another town, not within a town is not all that strict for these other bodies, but for between towns, if they are moving a body from Lusaka to Kafia, for example, or Lusaka to Kabwe, in that case, we need to come in to ensure that the transportation will be in line with the requirements, and also that the body has been put in a coffin or a casket that meets the requirements. Therefore, we also control the transportation of dead bodies from one district to another district, including international travels from, for example, from Zambia to South Africa, Zambia to USA. In that case, we come in as well as environmental practitioners ensure that the bodies, as they're being transported, they are not going to pose a risk to public health or the environment. Okay, so let's just briefly talk about the sources of infection from dead bodies. I know for this topic you have done a lot in the communicable, non-communicable diseases. So communicable diseases is about how infections spread from one person to another. So here our references from the dead body. So there are 4 main sources of infection that we need to consider when dealing with human remains. Okay, there's a question of blood and other body fluids, saliva and other fluids coming from a dead body going into the environment. This can be a source of contamination of infections. Then also waste products such as feces and urine. All these, they can also be a source of infection if they are coming from a dead body. Okay. Then also aerosols, like now for COVID. COVID is spread through aerosols. So these might be moving. Okay, just a minute. Yes, it's moving. No, I'm in class now. Yes, there's an issue that. Oli? Where? Oh, and I've been in the office from 13 to 14 because of the. I'm in the office now, but also the year 14 for the. For this meeting we have so that's what 14 issue I'll be in the office definitely. But yeah, but after 14 state I might leave. So I'm here up to about 14 state. Okay, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, that's a problem with these online things. Okay, so there are some of the sources of infection. Okay, so definitely due to the public health and environmental pollution problems that can arise, the disposal of human remains is regulated by local authorities and the Ministry of Health. Okay, so for the disposal of other dead bodies, not necessarily those from infectious diseases, these are typically regulated by local authorities. By the disposal of bodies from infectious bodies, these they have to be done in accordance with the Ministry of Health guidelines or regulations. Okay, yeah. So maybe we can have some discussion here. So is it important that we discuss this aspect of disposal of human remains? And have we seen the linkage between human remains and the public health problems or environmental problems?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, okay.
Okay, yeah. Victoria, you want to say something?
No.
Okay. Okay, yeah. So this is the main reason why we are discussing about disposal of human remains. I know sometimes people might ask that, yeah, discussing human remains, but in what context? Okay, so we are discussing this in the context of protecting public health and also protecting the environment. Okay, so it normally becomes more pronounced. Yes.
When you said
our duty is not to handle, or rather, when you take someone, for example, a person who has Korea.
Yes.
Who do we give that dead body to? I mean, which people do we give that dead body to for them to go and bury it, if it's not us?
Okay. As I said, us were supervisors. There are people, they are general workers, they were the people that assist us to do some of these works. Okay? Definitely you cannot manage alone, for example. Can you carry the body alone? You can't. Yeah, so we normally have a team of assistants. Okay? They are general workers, assistants to do the disposal of human remains. But you need to be there to give guidance. Okay, and to guide them on how it's supposed to be done. Okay, whether it's picking up a body, they ensure that they are also protected, ensure that they are in full PPE. We discuss about some of those things. Okay, then you also have the body is picked, where the body is placed, is you to organize for all those commodities that are required to perform the burial of a body from an infectious disease. Okay, therefore, you don't stand from a distance, you have to be there on the ground. It's you giving direction. Okay, but we don't handle the body ourselves directly.
What are you saying?
Yeah, we are officers. But there are people, assistants who will be assisting us to handle those bodies. But it's us giving them the directions. Okay? And to organize the commodities that are required. For example, the body bags, okay, or cadaver bags, the PPE for the workers, the sprayers, the chemicals. It's us to organize all those things. Okay? Because you need to have all the commodities that are required for you to handle body an infectious
Where are you?
Okay, so I hope it is clear.
Yes, I can ask a question on that.
Yes.
Something. And my question is that those people choose to handle those things.
Yeah, speak up, please. Speak up.
Those people are supposed to handle those things. One is supposed to give the body.
Yes.
Are they supposed to have a little bit of trainings or what?
They?
Like people carry the bodies, the same bodies.
Yes.
They're supposed to have some training.
Yeah. I'm not. You just come again. Yeah, just come again.
Yeah, I'm saying like those people are supposed to be carrying the same bodies.
Yes.
Like are they supposed to be having a little bit of trainings for them to be carrying the bodies or what?
Oh, very good. Yeah. So those are the things that I think we'll be discussing. Definitely, the people will need some. They require training. It's like when you're discussing healthcare waste management. The first part is training. You train them on how you want them to handle the bodies. So you need to give them some orientation first of all. We start from the hazards and so forth, and how you want them to be doing. It's not a formal thing. It's just in a day, or if 1 hour or two, they'll get what is required of them. So don't just pick someone who has not been oriented on how to handle bodies of high infectious. Do all of that from a high infectious disease. Okay. Therefore, training, as we even discussed for healthcare management, training is important, and including at regular interviews, refresher trainings. It's not a one-off thing. Okay, it's a continuous process of training. Those people will be assisting you, so that they understand what you want them to do and how they can protect themselves. Okay. Yeah. But yes. Yes, you can go on. Okay. Oh. Okay. Yeah. So I hope you have understood the context in which we handle these human remains. Okay. I know most of the times, even in the past, EHTs were a forgotten profession. They only remembered us when they call it outbreak. Is it 1990, 97, 98, somewhere there in Zambia, when the big cholera outbreak. It was a big issue in terms of disposal of these bodies. And the issue of also contact tracing, issue of disinfection. Okay, because before that, environmental health was almost forgotten. But remember that time when they called outbreak in 1998, 97, 98, the first big cholera outbreak in Osaka. That's when they realized that no, we need these people to perform these functions. And also the issue of contact tracing and also disinfection. Because they have to disinfect the home where that body is coming from and so forth. So there's no another profession in the health sector who has gone through these technical processes of disinfection, for example, and so forth. Okay, that's why as well we come in. Even now, I think under COVID, that's why I've seen we are very much active because these infectious diseases we can't do without the health system cannot do without the environmental practitioners. Okay, yeah, so that's why we are, and we've been discussing these things with DOD for a long time, more than from the beginning of environmental things to do the disposal of human remains have been very paramount because of these deaths from these highly infectious diseases. Okay, so let's just talk about briefly about preservation of human remains in our remaining few minutes. Okay, so preservation of human remains means is the treating or storing of the body to prevent physical decomposition before final disposal. Okay, so the body might start to decompose immediately after death. So we need to preserve these human remains. Okay, so the major methods of preservation of human remains is the refrigeration and the embalming. So as we are discussing also this aspect, for example, of refrigeration, because we need to ensure that wherever bodies are being stored, dead bodies are being stored, they don't pollute the environment, they don't also contribute to public health problems. Therefore, where bodies are stored, where these bodies are stored, not necessarily for highly infectious diseases. Because highly infectious diseases, we normally say they should not be refrigerated. They're supposed to be after death immediately, they are disposed of. Okay, but for the other bodies that have died from other causes, not necessarily highly infectious diseases, they need to be refrigerated. So where these bodies are, yes.
What chemical do they use for embalming a deceased body?
Okay, I hope we'll discuss something here, but there's the most common one is formaldehyde or called formalin, popularly known as formalin. So they inject these bodies for them to embalm the body. So formalin, for example, is one of the examples that I can give. Formaldehyde. Okay. Yeah. So the refrigeration is basically body kept in a refrigerator with a temperature between 4 degrees Celsius to 6.5 degrees Celsius. Okay, so this temperature reduces decomposition, and hence the body can stay fresh for a reasonable amount of days, if not months. So the bodies are kept in mortuaries, so a mortuary during refrigeration. So they should not be below 4, because again, don't want the body to be frozen. But if it is frozen, it becomes a problem to put it in a coffin or a casket. Again, above 6.5, the body can start decomposing at a faster rate. Okay, therefore, we need to keep bodies at between these two temperatures. Okay, below 4, the problem there that you don't want the body to be frozen, because the body will be handled after a few days. So if it is frozen, it becomes a problem to handle, to put in a coffin, for example. Okay, so those are the temperatures. So a mortuary is a place where a body is kept pending final disposal. So we call this as a mortuary. where the body is kept pending final disposal to avoid decomposition. So the main functions of the mortuary might include the following. So the receipt and the temporary storage of the body. Then also we might want to use the mortuary for investigations in the cause of death by performing a post-mortem examination on the body, or can also be used for viewing, okay, and or identification of the body. Then the fourth one, which is not yet, can also be used for some scientific investigations or even for teaching purposes. Like those doctors who are learning about pathology, they can go to a mortuary to go and learn how disease progresses in the body by looking at these bodies. So those are some of the functions of a mortuary. So in terms of the layout of a good mortuary, it should have refrigeration, should have a post-mortem area, should have an embalming place, should have a laundry chamber, should have a records office, and also an office for the mortuary attendants. So this is just the ideal mortuary. So for us, we do inspect these mortuaries. Before they are constructed, we scrutinize the plans for these mortuaries. Then after they are being operated, during operational stage, you also inspect them to ensure that they are not polluting the environment or putting the public health at risk. So when doing the inspections, it's the same like for another inspection for premises. We'll look at the floor, the walls, okay, and other things that need to be put up to be found in a mortuary to protect the workers who work in those mortuaries, including the mourners and other people who enter the mortuaries. So the floor is supposed to be durable, hard and durable, and it should be made of material which is moisture resistant and can be easily cleaned and disinfected. So when the plans come to our office, we scrutinize the plan for the floor and ensure that it is easy to clean and disinfect. And the walls of the mortuary should be thick, durable, and permanent. The wall surfaces should be made of materials that can also be easily disinfected. So that's why as the environmental practitioners, we have a course in building sciences to allow us to inspect these buildings, like infrastructure for the mortuaries.
I have a question, sir.
Yes, please.
What do you do to those mortuaries which not meet required standards for them to operate?
Very good. You'll be discussing those aspects next academic year, under your inspection and report course. But in briefly, you give them an informal notice, a letter to say do the following by this date. If they don't comply, then now you can give them a formal notice. Also give them a days to comply. If they don't, then you go to the course of law to ask them to comply. So there's a procedure we follow. I think those will be discussed more in the next academic year under the inspection of premises course. So if they don't comply, we inspect they're not complying, then you can take some kind of what you call compliance action. So we do conduct compliance monitoring, or popularly known as inspections. That's why they call us health inspectors, because our job is to inspect. So if you inspect, they're not complying with the regulations of the requirements of the law, then you can take some kind of enforcement actions. By giving them a formal notice, then if they don't, then you go to the course of law. You don't take things in our own hands. For example, what has been happening now in Lusaka. I think you have noticed on TV or Facebook, the mayor of Lusaka going for officials from the Lusaka City Council to go and close those premises, and then we're putting a lock. We don't do like that under public health. We are not physical. we have to follow the processes according to the law.
Mhm.
I hope it has really answered your question.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So that's why we are now discussing the construction details so that you're able to do a proper inspection. Then the doors in the mortuary complex should be wide sliding type and made fly-proof. I hope you know what the sliding type, because you people have been doing a lot of building construction. You know the
We
type of
only know about sliding windows, sir.
You don't know the sliding type of the. I don't know the which type of doors do you know? Anyway, let's come to the building part.
Common doors, sir. Don't know if they're common doors.
Okay, maybe let's give him a plan.
I was talking about those that are found at the mall, those kind. Yes.
Very good. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, and better sometimes those that are automatic, that when you just reach a certain place, if it opens up for you, then you move in and closes. The better, so that they are not left open. Okay. So the sliding type, also those which you can push the other side, you push the other side. For big walls or buildings, you might have those sliding types. Okay. Then the washers to be made fly-proof. We don't flies to be going in and out. So they should also have that is a self-closing device. If they are not automatic, they have that a device for self-closing. Immediately you push in, when you go enter, it closes itself. The better. This is the same way for the food premises. That's what we recommend for food premises. Here, we don't want flies, other vectors to go in.
Sir, for the sake of security, sir, like in rural areas, sir,
yes.
Can you encourage the mortuary to be built using sliding doors?
Okay. Yeah, definitely there's the need for security. Okay, so you should know when they open and when they close. Even where it opens automatically, they're not open automatically all the time. You have to switch on somewhere to allow that to happen. When people are there, when people are not there, then it's not supposed to open. So definitely for security purposes, they need to be locked. They need to be locked. But when the people are operating there, then it's supposed to allow people to move in easily, inside and out. Okay. Yeah.
Another question, sir.
Yes, sir.
So does the mortuary attendant sleep inside, or does he spend the night inside the mortuary or outside? And if he spends the night inside the mortuary, what PE attires does he put to prevent himself from contacting some dangerous diseases in there?
Okay, yeah. I know this is a sensitive issue, the mortuary. All of us, we fear talking about the mortuary issue. But big hospitals, for example, at UTH, Kitwe Central Hospital, Dora Central Hospital, mortuary attendants, they work in shifts. There's one who works during the day, another one during the night. Throughout the night, because bodies can be brought in any time in the hospital. But definitely for any small district hospital, maybe you only have a watchman at night. During the day, you have a mortuary attendant. Okay, so in terms of the PPE, basically it's the same PPE as the one we discussed for those people who handle healthcare waste. Okay, we discuss about it in this topic, but it's the same PPE basically, the same attire like those people who handle healthcare waste. Okay, but you know that here these people are at risk of these fluids, body fluids. Okay, so therefore they need to put in something that is waterproof. Okay, yeah. Okay. So they can work 24 hours, these mortuary attendants.
Sir.
But they work in shifts. Even at night, they are mortuary attendants. If you go to church, they are there all the time. They stay inside the mortuary. They not really the mortuary. It's a mortuary area or a mortuary complex. It also includes a room for the mortuary attendant. That is like any other office. If you go to TH there, it's very pleasant. It's not, there are no smells. The mortuary will be somewhere, the refrigerator will be somewhere else. The office for the mortuary attendants will be somewhere else, near that place, but not inside where the refrigerators are.
But they also need comfort. You go at UTH, there are even pathologists. The offices are by the mortuary complex. Those pathologists also do postmortem and so forth. Doctors, highly trained doctors who do postmortems. The offices are within the mortuary complex. So nothing to be worried about, fear about mortuary. It's just a room for storage of dead bodies, that's all.
Now, sir, there's this thing, I don't know whether it's out of topic or not, where they say people in the mortuary, some people, they rise again from none. So how can you see someone who has risen when you are somewhere else?
No, there's nothing like that. You have to be somewhere else. Nothing like people rise from the dead. No, there's nothing like that. Doesn't happen. And then those are just what people say, but nothing like that happens. You will go so that we don't have time. Otherwise, we would have gone to EHT to see what happens there. Or leave 1 hour, so we just appreciate what happens at the mortuary. There's nothing like that. When somebody is dead, is dead. That is all. If doctors have certified that you are dead, you are dead. Okay, I know there are myths and misconceptions about death and so forth, but nothing of that sort happens. Okay, I know people want to say something.
Yes, sir. I need clarity on the issue of the doors has to be fly-proof. Is it every door in is it all the doors, or there are different kind of doors that are fly-proof?
Okay. Yeah, maybe I didn't make myself clear. I'll just give an example for the mall, but it's also for they're supposed to be sliding type, so that is enough space there for you to pass, for example, a casket or a coffin. So sliding type, there are doors that open both sides, or there can be a double swing. But I think you discuss those things in your building science course. A double swing, both sides are opening, or a single swing. Okay, they are opening both outwards. For example, they are leaving a big space. It's like having two doors in one place. So the other one opens inside, the other one opens inside, so that like a casket and so on can be able to pass there. Or a trolleys for the to carry the coffin can be able to pass through. So because a single door, the space might not be very adequate. So I advise that it's supposed to be both sides are open, so that it can give enough space for you to pass the bodies, the trolleys that are carrying the bodies, or removing the bodies from the mortuary. Yeah, so it just basically it requires a big space. That's why we require the sliding type. Okay, another those the amplifier iPhone. You're not using your names. The iPhone. Yes. Yes. Go on.
So I've got a question. Yeah, and it's based on the refrigerators.
Yes.
Are they like specific for one individual? Maybe it's one freezer, a lot of people in the same freezer, or anything.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's a good question. They're not like refrigerators for the one that we use in our homes. Those are very much different. So it depends. The other maybe one body mortuary, or maybe 4 bodies, 6 bodies, 8 bodies, 2 bodies, and so on. They just have spaces where you can slot your body. So they are like just compartments where you can slot a body. They're not like the refrigerator that we use in our homes, no. Okay, yeah,
So
that's what
they're like drawers.
Yes, please. Where you can just pull, then put your body and push it inside. The tray comes out and put your body there and you push it inside. But I know that nowadays, even others where it's you to push the body inside there, they're just opening a space, openable space, and you push your body inside there. But they're only meant to cut up for a body, or they can be for several bodies, but showing demarcations for putting where you can put each body on that particular tray for that particular body. Okay, but hopefully anyway, when this COVID is over, we'll take a look. We'll at UTH or Lemon answer. We just see what a mortuary, how it looks like. Or when going for urban practicals also next academic year, you definitely are going to be exposed to mortuaries in the small, rural area setups, which may be only made for 4 bodies, 6 bodies. But the 1 or 2 TH can carry maybe 20, 30 bodies, 50 bodies. Okay.
So I have a question again.
Yes.
And how much do they charge, or maybe let me just say, do they charge for keeping the 6 bodies at the mortuary?
In Zambia at the moment, if you keep them at government institutions, they don't charge anything. But if you go to a private, they now have got private mortuaries. They definitely will charge you. Now most people nowadays have got a lot of money, they want to go to private. So there they will charge you. But in government mortuaries, is they keep the bodies for free. But even in them, they can bring some rules to say if you keep the body for more than 3 days, for example, then you'll be charged some money. Okay, it's possible. But before 3 days, your bodies you can keep the body for free there. So, but in this one anyway, it's subjective. It's dependent of the institutions, how they operate. If they want to charge a small fee, maybe they can. But in Zambia setup currently, we don't charge. But if you take the body to a private mortuary, these like which people are known as funeral parlors, there they will charge you. And nowadays, most people they prefer to take them to private mortuaries, not UTH. Then they are definitely will charge you. It's a service that they're offering, and they're in business.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay. I know you are running on time, so they will end up at construction because I only scheduled for 1 hour up to 10 hours, up to 11 hours. Okay, the issue of hot water and cold water, we need to provide both hot water and cold water in the mortuary. This is important for hygiene purposes. Then we talked about the temperature that's between 4 to 6.5 degrees Celsius. Okay, so the temperature is supposed to be controlled between these 2 points. And then in terms of waste management in the mortuary, they should have also proper method for management of waste from there. Waste from, yes, Irish, Director. DirectorEDGE.
No,
Do you have
no,
a
sir.
question?
I was just agreeing with what you're saying.
Oh, okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Sir,
so should I? Yes.
Just one more last question, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. When we went to Chama, we had the chance to visit one of the mortuaries at an old hospital. That was
Yes.
a rural hospital.
Yes.
Then that was refrigerated drawers. So in a situation where maybe there was an accident and then they bring more than four diseased bodies, what can they do? Like when they only have a maximum of 4 refrigerators. Thank you.
They need to look for another place where they can find the mortuary. I know what you're talking about is it happens, but as we should be talking about from the ideal situation. The ideal situation that each compartment is meant for 1 body is meant for 1 body. Don't put 2 bodies there. If they are going to put more than 2 bodies, more than 1 body in a place where it needs only 1 body, then you go there to inspect. It means they're not in compliance with the law. It means you can hold them to account. Yeah, but in that case, definitely there's an accident. Also, we are also human beings as inspectors. In that case, you can understand how the situation is. But for us, we cannot teach you to say they should be keeping more than 1 body. Where it's needed to only to keep 1 body, more than 1, where it's only meant for 1 body. No. For as at now, we need to follow the rules as they are, the guidelines as they are. But when you're out there, it's up to you to be innovative, to think outside the box, and so forth. You might allow it, definitely. If it's an accident, you might allow it. But if you go there, it's not an accident, then you find many bodies being kept together in a compartment meant for 1 body. it means that that mortuary is not meeting the standard. You can take some enforcement actions. Okay. Yeah. I hope Henry, you are clear.
So,
yes.
On the part of the water, the cold and hot water.
Yes.
Is it the job of the mortuary attendant to wash the corpses or what?
Okay. Yeah. In our case, the mortuary attendant just takes care of the bodies. It's not a job to wash these corpses. No. The washing is a family. It's a job of the family. But if they want the mortuary attendant to wash the corpses, it means that they have to pay some money for that purpose. Otherwise, it's only meant for the mortuary attendant just meant there to safeguard that the bodies are intact. No one is going to come and steal the body and so forth, or that people are getting the bodies for the actual deceased, the person who died from that particular family, for orderliness in the mortuary. Otherwise, they're supposed just to be sitting there. That's their job, just to sit. When they come, they check the documentation and check where you put your body, because them who knows maybe what number 1 is, number 2 is, because the bodies are numbered like that, or the
family. Yes, I have a question, sir.
Yes.
You are saying that the washing of the dead bodies can be done by the family. Now, what if that dead body, that person died of coronavirus?
Okay. For those ones, it's very good. We have said for the bodies that have died from manufactured diseases, they should not go in a mortuary. And that's what we had said. If you had heard me correct in the beginning, they should never go in a mortuary. They're supposed to be straight from the ward or from the home where they've been picked up, straight for burial. Okay? We don't want them to contaminate the mortuary. But those who are kept in the mortuary are those bodies that have died from non-infectious diseases, from highly infectious diseases. Those are kept in the mortuary. But in case somebody dies at night and so forth, there might just be a place where you can keep the body temporarily. Then the first thing in the morning is supposed to be disposed of. Okay? I know people can flout laws. They put in the mortuary, but this means that immediately that body is removed, you need to do a lot of disinfection in the mortuary, everywhere. Cleaning it up, then disinfection, and so forth, to make it that is sterile. Otherwise, what's the normal situation that bodies from highly infectious diseases, they should never be kept in the mortuary. They should be buried within 24 hours. And in that case, they should not be in the mortuary. After death, they should be buried within 24 hours. I know us in Zambia is what you have noticed, maybe when the politician who died a few weeks ago, we still they even at body viewing and so forth. But those things are not allowed by public health authorities. There's no body viewing. Even if people go to a funeral, there are only a few. There will be more workers than the family members. There will be more us environmentalists and our workers, few family members. We don't even allow them to go to the church to go and pray and so forth. They can have a small prayer at the graveyard and so forth. But we definitely also have to respect their culture, their tradition and so forth. But we know that it's an epidemic situation, therefore we need to control. Yeah. We'll discuss about this towards the end when we are going to be discussing typically the disposal of bodies from highly infectious diseases. We're going to have a topic on that. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so I think for today, they are almost closing us up now. We only booked for an hour for this class. So what we have discussed today, we did state or outline the objectives for human remains management, which said they are both public health and environmental objectives. Okay, then we talked about the risks that the public health risks from human bodies. Then we have talked about the issue of preservation of human remains by refrigeration. So when we meet next time, we'll discuss the issue of embalming. Then from there, we'll talk about transportation. Then we'll see how it will progress. Okay, so before I go, maybe about 4 minutes to go before 11:10. They'll give us 10 more minutes. Any additions, subtractions from what we have discussed so far? Or anything, issue of concern? Okay, yeah, I hope you are able to get me clearly.
Yes, sir.
Yes, you should just share us the notes. Share them with us, sir.
Okay, oh, definitely I'll share. I'll
Thank you.
share the notes as well, yes. Okay, I think the next lecture is for at 11:30. I hope you have already made arrangements for the next lecture with the lecturer consent. Are you been learning through this online platform from Monday?
This is our second lesson.
Oh, okay. The yesterday of me is the Zimba.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Okay, but also you see people to be prompting the lecturers so that they are able to, if they know that maybe they think you are not ready. So ask the lecturer to say, we are supposed to meet you on this particular time. How are you going to discuss? So that they tell you the platform they're going to be using. Okay, so please enjoy your day. We will meet again next week. We will be meeting from 10 hours also even next week. Because that's the time that we have booked on the schedule according to what I sent, the link I sent to the class reps.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Munyama.
What is it?
Yeah? Kwandiri wewe.
Wasalanda sana.
King Whoopi.
Asani mwe.
Mwase waziwache doya kumoyo.
Ati?
Waziwache doya kumoyo mwachani.
Ati doya kumoyo.
Oh na wadogs wa giz. Wadogs giz.
Tabiripanga sensi.